What's up, Internet? Tim Fogarty, Ben Ferguson here. Welcome to another edition of our weekly-ish roundup of important news in enterprise tech. We have a lot of cool stuff to talk to you guys about today. We're excited to be back. Benny, why don't you break down what we're kicking off with?
Sure, we have four massive stories for you today. So first off, our friends at Ciena and Infinera launched new capabilities in carrier backhaul transmissions. Second, we're going to be talking about the foiled security breach at Trump's own Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida. Third, we're going to be kicking off some new developments in network function virtualization that we're pretty excited about.
Oh, spicy. I can't wait.
Spicy indeed.
Ooh. And then finally, our boys from the shadows are back. Amazon has announced some big news. They might be getting into the internet service provider space. Buckle up, people. Let's take a ride. All right, Benny, first up today, we've got some big news with Ciena and Infinera. They've just announced some huge boosts in their carrier backhaul transmission capabilities. So for the people out there that want to hear more and know more about this, what does that mean and what are these guys going to be doing?
Absolutely. So Infinera announced a new platform, ICE5.
Ooh,
so this has multiple 600 gigabit per second wavelength capabilities with an aggregate throughput capability of 2.4 terabits per second. Ooh. That can span over 1,400 kilometers, or for you metric system challenge people, 870 miles.
Oh, wow.
Now, Ciena claps back with the WaveLogic 5, right? So this is capable of multiple 800 gigabits per second wavelengths over short distances, like my house in South Bay to your house on the west side.
Okay, sure.
But over long capabilities, like anywhere, they didn't even give a distance limitation on it, of 400 gigabits per second. So that's the new record holder for fastest backhaul capabilities across time and space, my friend.
Ooh, and we all like that high bandwidth and high speed, am I right?
That's right. So this is going to be the technology that's powering 5G, faster internet to your business, and faster internet to your home. Good stuff, people.
Yeah, and we're definitely going to be watching to see how this shakes out. Really going to be some good stuff happening. All right, some big and kind of interesting news behind Trump's Florida party house, his Mar-a-Lago resort, which apparently, Ben, is easier to get into than most of the nightclubs I try to get into in Hollywood. So a Chinese woman, Yu Jingzong, got past basically the first line of security at Mar-a-Lago resort, but then was taken into custody by the next line of security. And when they searched her, they found 4 cell phones, 1 hard drive, 1 laptop, and a malware-infected thumb drive.
Wow, and a partridge and a pear tree. That was corny, I know. So we don't know the details of what type of malware was on the thumb drive, but what we do know is that she has close ties to the Chinese government and Communist Party. So, I mean, really when you think about it, we don't know if she was trying to gain access to the local network, get things like travel schedules, visitor logs, visitor activities, or pull a full-on Ocean's 11 crack-in.
Bottom line, people, is if you're not doing something with security now, you should be doing something with security because it's a very important thing and one of the hottest topics we're seeing day in and day out.
I'm curious what type of anomaly detection they have at Mar-a-Lago. Probably carbon black, the best.
Oh, the best. All right, Ben, so the Open Networking Summit was last week, and some really cool news was announced around new development in network function virtualization. Why don't you show off that big brain of yours and give us a little summary on, what NFV is?
So a lot of people have heard of virtualization, right? So you used to buy server, storage, whatever. Now it becomes all virtualized in a stack, okay? So you don't need like one box for each thing, right? Everything kind of runs in parallel. And so network function virtualization is taking that same principle at the edge, right? So you used to have routers, firewalls, switches, caching, WAN optimization. And with network function virtualization, you can basically build that as a virtualized stack. So no more just box. Each of those basically software applications is called a VNF, or virtual network function. So in current network function virtualization, we have service chaining with one-to-one integration between routing, firewall, etc. And it causes single points of failure and bottlenecks, which is no good for building fault-tolerant networks. So from the Open Networking Summit, everybody's talking about lean network function virtualization. So I'm not going to get into the specifics, but it's basically taking key value stores, which basically creates a universal point of integration for all the VNFs to talk, all right? So we think this is a big evolution to building out more scalable and fault-tolerant networks that will help catapult us into the edge compute world that we all want to live in.
You're smart, dude.
Thanks.
Okay, everybody, everyone's favorite bookstore, Amazon's back in the news. So Amazon just announced their plan to expand into the ISP space. So what they did is GeekWire yesterday broke the story. Amazon filed 3 filings with the FCC to start a project called Project Kuiper. And what that is Project Kuiper is to launch 3,236 satellites into low Earth orbit to provide 30 milliseconds of latency, bandwidth not disclosed yet, to 95% of the world's population. Again, sorry about you other 5%, no hard feelings. So obviously they're not the first tech giant to try and get into this space and do this. It's tough to do. How did this start? Who was the first to do it, and how do we get to where we are today? Yeah,
so flashback 9 years ago, Google announced they were going to enter the internet service provider business with Google Fiber Project, right? So they were going to do traditional kind of terrestrial fiber to the home deliveries, and they announced a few cities, built a ton of hype, and ended up finding it was a lot more expensive and a lot harder than they initially anticipated. So they kind of pivoted, and now they have Project Loon, which is kind of an experimental balloon Wi-Fi project, pretty crazy. But that was really the first tech giant to get into there. So since then, Facebook announced Project Terragraph.
Shocking.
Which is an open source 5G data transmission kind of project going on. Pretty cool. We'll have some updates on that in the future. But our favorite is SpaceX's Starlink project. Why don't you tell us about it?
Oh man, my favorite spaceman, Elon, he just doesn't stop. So Starlink, what happened is they launched their first 2 prototype satellites last year, and they're expected under their current FCC filings to grow to 12,000 satellites. Hold on, it gets better, buckle up. So recently, they just filed with the FCC for approval for up to 1 million Starlink Earth stations. Now, my favorite part of this, and don't ever change Elon, the reason, from what he said, he is doing Starlink is not to provide, great internet service to most of the world. Most of the funds will be going towards his city he's going to build us on Mars.
It's beautiful.
Absolutely beautiful. All right, thanks everybody for tuning in to this edition of our weekly-ish roundup of important news in enterprise tech. I hope you guys learned a lot of cool stuff today. If there's any topics you want us to discuss next time, why don't you go ahead and comment below.
If you liked what you saw, hit the like button. If you didn't like what you saw, hit the like button. If you think our faces are punchable, hit the like button.
Yeah.
And subscribe, hit the notification bell, all of that. We love you guys. Thank you.
Love you. Bye.